$50 billion is how much money we spent building a pyramid and a city on the other side of the planet. It's called Astana, Kazakhstan. And the pyramid that we built is in the middle of it, right in the heart of the city. It houses 200 delegates, and ironically, there are 200 fallen angels. But if you click inside that building, you can go to the boardroom, which has a round table where all 200 delegates get to meet. And if you disagree with them, there's a hole right there in the middle of the table, and you can see all the way down to the floor of reconciliation. And I guess that's the hole of peace. And that's next on the trumpet. The United States were some of the first people to even invest their money there. This is just one of many buildings they built. Circular 200-seat chamber for world religion meetings. Chapter 3 of the Book of Enoch, Fallen Angels, tells you all about the 200 angels that descended onto Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is where that happened. And if you go to the Book of Enoch, you can see that those 20 names that it mentioned right underneath that verse, they were leaders of tens. So there were 200 people that descended right here on top of Mount Hermon. And the United Nations decided this is right where we need to build a base, on the 33rd degree parallel. These people right here, and he will gather the nations. And no, I'm not talking about the Pope. Look at that logo right there. That's quite simply the 33rd degree. That logo shows the earth divided by 8 sections, and each section is divided by 4 other sections. 8 times 4 is 32, and the center section makes the 33rd. There's a lot of people on that same page. Now you're going to start seeing that 33 show up everywhere, like in the buttons on his cloak. They represent the years of Jesus' life. The 33rd degree is where Jesus transfigured in front of the disciples. The 33rd degree is where the Masons built the Tower of Babel out of bricks. And yes, if you work with bricks or stones, you are considered a Mason. Charleston, South Carolina, home of the Masons. I love that these guys think that they are the oldest fraternity of men. You're not the oldest fraternity of men that swore an oath. That was the fallen angels. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. That book is in the Library of Congress. And this book is right on my shelf for all of us to read. And in the Sermon on the Mount, these are Jesus' words right here. Verse 33, in case you weren't paying attention. Again ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, Thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. The men of old time are spoken of right here in Genesis chapter 6 under the wickedness of the world. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Jesus goes on in the book of Matthew and says, But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne. Swearing in on the Bible now has a whole new meaning for me. And when they take the oath of office, well, this ought to be great.